joined by Dash, but we're joined by Dash
Talking
and
in
Dave.
the third person. That's so
person.
weird.
The way you feel.
Surprised! Happy Monday, or Turmoil Monday, or Shenanigan Monday, or Crazy Monday, or if you are a Polish fan, Unfortunate Monday. Welcome, everyone. This is kind of an impromptu live, more so kind of like a little bit of a impromptu emergency live stream where I kind of just sit down and just talk about two of the big trending things that's going on right now. Obviously, first thing is Pogba being on the sauce and a bunk article about Juve being sold. But I think those were the two big things. While I wait for some of you folks to pile in, Bones is here, Peepo is always here. But while I'm waiting for some of you guys coming in, you guys have any comments or anything about the international break? Because some of these international matches have been wild. I'm a little bit stoked because, again, I am Albanian, and Albania is first place in their European qualifiers. And if you guys saw it on the Discord, absolute piss rocket against Poland. I felt bad for Tech because he could not stop any of those. But international qualifiers, I'm not too crazy about international football, but we've had some interesting things. I mean, obviously, Mom Spalletti screwing the pooch against Macedonia, or Macedonia. If Dave was here, he'd correct me for it. North Macedonia, where Italy's kind of in jeopardy because Ukraine is looking quite spicy. So Italy potentially being out of the Euros, which is absolutely wild. And the other thing too that I wanted to talk about too is that group Albania, Poland, and Moldova are in right now, and the Czechs 3/4 team race for that one. So that group's gonna be fun to watch as far as international qualifiers. And then also, guys, Timmy Weah was an absolute piss rocket. Oh my gosh! If you guys saw the U.S. game, I think it was like Uzbekistan or something. McKennie and Weah combining together. McKennie with like a ridiculous touch, and then lays it off to McKennie or Weah bottom corner for it. Absolutely bonkers. All right, so I got Bones here. We got Frankie here. We got Jeff with Asani. God, man, I don't know if I can show it, but holy smokes, that goal was phenomenal. Dave coming back from Croatia. So one Dave is back. I just need the other Dave back, and Dave will be back Wednesday. I wonder if he's listening right now. It's like 11 o'clock over there where he is. That goal was filthy. Bone saying the fact that Keane was not called up is the reason why Italy is struggling. I think in general, it's an interesting thing, right? So like, Italy's issue right now is like, I'm going to be frank with you. Like, all the Italian players right now are not really that good. Like, holy, you know what? I'm going to have some fun here. I'm going to Google the starting lineup for that, because that was ridiculously bad. Because like, Immobile is your leading striker, and then that's just Immobile, and then who else did they play up top? Super forgetful. Yeah, so they had Immobile, Zaccagni, and Politano as your front three, and then your midfield three of Barella, Cristante, and Tonali. Like, good lord, that's atrocious. Like, the only the only good player, or like the best player that they had, was DeMarco. Like, oh my goodness. And the thing is like, I don't understand the one thing, and we'll get into Pogba and that. I'm just waiting for some folks to pop in. I don't want to start with the main event before everyone gets in here, but I just find it interesting that everyone was losing their goddamn mind about Spalletti, where they need Spalletti. Napoli's stupid for not letting him go, blah, blah, blah. Like, with all due respect to Spalletti and what he did to Napoli, but like, his entire career, he only had one successful season. But, hey, we don't want Conte because for some reason Conte is Conte in regards to the national team, but we want Spalletti. Like, huh? Because the thing is what and I'm kind of gonna throw a parallel to Albania here, because Slovenia, who is Albania's coach, was like, hey, Albania's not a possession-based national team. They can't do this modern football shit. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to organize the squad to play effective counterattacking football. Slovenia is doing essentially what Conte does, and that's why Albania is in the position that it is. So it's like Italy needed someone to kick them in the ass, and Conte, in my opinion, is that guy that can kick them in the ass. But I don't know. Everyone, all like the influencers, the Serie A influencers, all want Spalletti, and it's like, guys, dude was only successful for one season. Like, pump the brakes. And the thing is like, if Italy don't qualify for the Euro, in my opinion, I'm not Italian, so I don't have a dog in this fight. I find it hysterical, but I know a lot of you guys are. So it's like, I could only imagine if you don't qualify for the Euro. World Cup's one thing. The European Euros, that's another thing, man. If you don't qualify for that, holy smokes. Like, that's absolutely bonkers. But Italy's got a pretty big game against Ukraine coming up, so it's actually tomorrow. So if they win that one, then, their chances are good, but they just need that to even tie Ukraine on points. Like, they have to well, they are a game back in regards to Ukraine there, so they're technically 2 back from England, but I don't know, man. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Uh, Asani as a Juve player. Oh, he's 28, and the problem is he's playing in Korea. That's the issue with Asani, even though he had an absolute belter. But again, that's the thing, right? So that's why Slovenia is actually a pretty damn good coach for them because again, he's like Conte. He took Pele, Granzinalo Pele from the streets and essentially had him play decent in the Euro. Frankie saying Dusan and Kostic being asked for Serbia. Yeah, they were terrible. Especially Dusan. Like, I mean, yeah, he got that own goal, but he like missed it and hit it into the I think it was yeah, he hit it into the Hungary defender and it was essentially an own goal. Holy smokes, man. Like, even the last game Serbia played, it was Mitrovic that got a hat trick and Dusan was on the bench. Uh, I think now I guess people are starting to realize now that the guy was all smoke and no dope at some point where it's like I still sit here and think like, holy smokes. Like, we paid 85 million for that guy. Oh, that's so frustrating. But the other thing too, De Ligt still not really finding his feet ever since he left us, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, he was voted Bayern's best player, but I know I've seen a lot of tabloids about him not being up to snuff per se. So I think in hindsight, everyone kind of lost their mind about losing De Ligt, but it looks like we might have been winning that one. So I'm not too worried about that. And people saying, "Hola, amigos, Pogba ain't schniz." So that's gonna be fun to talk about this one. I'm gonna have some fun. So I'm gonna open up with the first one here. So like the first article or the first news that broke over the weekend, I think it was like Saturday night, Sunday morning esque. Uh, Jeff saying Dusan's goal against Serbia is the same as he got against Real Madrid. Yeah, it really was. All right, so first news article. I got Reuters here. So this is going to be interesting because Reuters is an American stock exchange newspaper that are talking about it. So this was interesting. Juve shares rise as parent company Exor is denying the sales. So I believe it was like Sport Media Set or some random people just kind of came out there on the weekend and said, "Hey, Agnelli and Elkin are sitting here saying, hey, we're selling the club." Or we're deciding that we need to sell the club. The club's in financial garbage, so we need to sell. Which it's kind of out of the blue per se, but overall though, it's kind of interesting. So company shares have risen over 4.8% over the rumor of a sale. Trading volumes have exceeded the average, and Il Gigante says Exor value. So that's the valuation of the club if they were to sell it. And Exor has come out and said that the possible sales or claims are groundless. So essentially, there's no sauce to it. So September 11th today, shares in Juve have rose at 4.8% in the stock market over speculation of a takeover. Despite the parent company Exor saying that it has no plans to let the club go. for sale, denying all reports that are out on the newspapers. So shares in Italy's most successful club were up 3.2%. Trading values exceeded their 90-day average. Stock was outperforming the 0.9 rise. So that's actually pretty damn good from a stocks perspective here. So again, a spokesperson, so Elkin's press people were saying it's kind of baseless. There's no base into the claims of the club being sold. There's no anything like that. Just for, again, you folks at home, Exor, the holding company of Agnelli, owns about 64% of the club. So they have a majority stake and 78% of all voting. So any board votings or executive votings or anything like that, they have 78% of the voting rights at Juve. I think the other thing what was speculated as a potential minority shareholder, but I don't know how that would work per se, because I believe like 26%, 36% of the club is public. So according to this, so Exor believes, so this is the rumor per se. So this is the actual rumor of the potential sale for Juve. So Exor believes that it could put Juventus, that has a market value of 800 million euros or 850,000 or 850 million dollars. Interesting, up for sale for at least 1.5. Obviously, they're going to try to sell if hypothetically here, let's say here, if the 1.5 actually ends up being a selling price, if they are ending up going with the sale, more so it's saying because look, the club might be valued at 850, but because of the cash injections and the money pulls from the investors over the past years, they would want to recoup it. That's why they would say the price is 1.5. They want to recoup the debt of the shareholders before they sell. So that's why it's almost like twice the amount, because it's just, ballpark estimates, not really anything together. So Bones is saying, let's put together our money together and buy Juve. That'd be funny. That would be funny. But I really doubt that would happen. And again, I don't really see any base to this. I just see one article. I mean, maybe something could happen out later, but I doubt it. And this is just kind of saying, hey, Agnelli and them, false accounting and all that other jazz. More so here talking about how the club's not any wrongdoing and blah, blah, blah. So Exor says the commitment to Juventus, it was unchanged, and any suggestion to the contrary is without foundation, misleading, only intended to create uncertainty. So the people told Reuters with no imminent changes were expected, and a possible decision would only come once the clarity of accounting of the judicial clouds hung over. So nothing's going to happen until this whole legal jazz is out of the way. Essentially, it is technically out of the way, but more so then. So right now, it says Juve have absorbed 700 million euros in cash from the shareholders over the past 4 years. So remember how I told you 1.5 bill? So essentially, the 1.5 is to account for the 700 million in injected shares or injected capital funds that came into the club over the past couple of years. Because again, when you're selling a club, if you're injecting capital gains, when you sell the club, you account for the capital gains that you're injecting as part of the value of the club when you sell it. So you break even in a sense, because when you're injecting 700 million euros, you're taking that from another resource to inject into it. You're not, it's a loss somewhere else that you want to recuperate for, or you're essentially taking a loan that you need to get back for. The interesting thing that I saw this here, so it says roughly 2/3 of which of that 700 mil have come from Exor. So only 2/3 of it have come there. So obviously about 60% of it. So I'd say 400 million from Exor and then 300 million from other investors. So it says here that, so Reuters is saying that Juve is the only thing in the portfolio that is not making money. So that's interesting. So let's do some collaborative digging here. Let's see what Exor is actual portfolio is. Alrighty, so going on to the actual Exor website here. We'll learn, guys. We're gonna learn some Juve stuff, even though I'm not the history buff here. So going on to the actual Exor website. So the companies, so Ferrari, Stellantis, CNH Industrial, Philips, the TV brand. Interesting. The Institute of Mariux, Christian Louboutin. Is that like a clothing line? I'm going to assume that's a clothing line. We are Juventus Football Club via transportation, the Iveco Group. So wow, that's funny. That's a holding group owning another holding group. The Economist, I'm assuming that's a journalist company. Welltech Technologies Group, GEDI Gruppo Editoriale. So again, that's another newspaper. LifeNet Healthcare, Shangjia. All right. Casavo and New. So these are the main companies that they actually are responsible for or they own. So that's companies that write profits, and Exor is a hell of a large holding company, man. And it's, run by the Agnellis. That's crazy. Investments. So they've got Lingotto and Ventures. So those are the only ones there. So it's interesting how they have Philips. Can't believe they have Philips. Medical technology. So 15% of economic and voting rights. That's crazy. Oh wow, it even has like, for example, the employees amount, the countries, the revenue. Let's see what they got for Juve on here. So Exor has 63.8% of economic rights, 78% of the voting rights. So they own 63% of Juventus. Revenue. 400, is this yearly? No. Percentages at December and the last five. So this is the last fiscal year. So 443 million in revenue. That's how much Juve made in the last fiscal year. 32.2% revenues from sponsorships and advertising. That's interesting. Club statement. So it's just some brief news on there as well. So they own 60. Okay, so then let's see how much they own of Ferrari. So they only have 22.9% of economic rights for Ferrari. That's interesting. Holy smokes. 5.1 billion in revenue. That is nuts. Yeah. Wow. That's a hell of a portfolio that Exor has. But kind of looking at it from that perspective, guys, I don't see a future sale imminent or even possible at this time. I highly doubt it. I really hate saying it, but it's kind of more so like a clickbait article. I mean, Exor coming in and denying it. Guys, why don't you throw it in on the chat? So like, would you want, a Saudi investor on Juve? Would you want Juve to go oil money? Like, there's no wrong answer. I think it's more so just saying if you do or if you don't. Kamiko's coming in and saying hi. Jeff wants to make a GoFundMe page. Bone says, let's do it. Yeah, we can do it. Turin Giants buys Juve. Oh man, that'd be a hell of a purchase. Hell of a purchase. But yeah, overall, I really, yeah. Doll Jones, you goddamn right. Damn, he looks swole in that picture. Holy smokes, man, you are yoked. But I think that's really kind of like the main topic of that one, though, when it comes into the Exor sale. There's not really anything big. I really doubt that there's anything big. It makes no sense. But I don't know, guys. Such as life is on that one. And then Bones coming in. I don't know. I mean, if it lets us compete with the Prem on buying players, it wouldn't be too bad. But the thing is like, so if Juve were owned by oil money or like a Roman Abramovich, there's that argument that, like, for example, the club loses its like traditionalism. Like, it's owned by the Agnelli family. It's one of those things where it's just like I want to say it's a commodity, but it's like a necessity, right? Like, for example, Milan is owned by Americans, Inter is owned by the Chinese, and it's like at least like Italy's flagship club is still Italian owned. So I think that's that one sentiment. And then I think, to be honest with you, I would say the Italian government would just absolutely lose their mind if Juve were sold to an outsourced investor instead of Agnelli, because I don't think it'd be a good look. Because I still think Italy's kind of traditionalist when it comes to things like that. So it's like Milan and Inter weren't really necessarily, I don't want to say like, yeah, you had Berlusconi that owned Milan and Moratti that owned Inter, but now they've kind of, moved on per se. If Juve were the next one to do it, I think it would cause a lot of issues. Doll saying respect, my guy in the gym currently. Hey man, get that pump in, bro. Bone saying, I mean, they still don't respect us like that. Yeah. David saying, I think it's clickbait, nothing more. If they go to the links denying the reports, we got to believe it because they can't straight up lie because of market influence laws. Yeah, because then it would be insider trading if anything like that were supposed to happen. Like, for example, if they're trying to cover up an actual potential sale, they could, they could get in some serious trouble with the stock market and all that other jazz because if there's rule, like for example, look at today. So, right. So Juve stock went up 4.8, 4.9%. You know what? Bleep it. Let me pull up their stocks right now. We're getting into the economic stuff. It's like never in my lifetime did I ever think something like that would happen. So if we look at the stock market price, which is interesting because Juve is, wow, you could actually own Juve quite cheap. So let me pull this up for you guys. Juve is 31 cents, went down 6 cents today. That's interesting because it said it went up. Let's look at a 5. So at one point you could buy, I mean, hell, if you guys wanted to right now, you can go open up a stock account and you can buy a piece of Juve. It's only 31 cents. So you can finally say, I own Juve. Obviously, I mean, to really have any kind of stake in it, you'd have to order a good chunk of this, but even then it's limited. But the highest Juve's ever been. So if I look at, so I'm looking at a 5-year average, right? So in 2018, September of 2018, it was a buck 67. And then their peak, oh wow, that's funny. So Juve's highest stock was post Ronaldo, or like right when they purchased Ronaldo. Like that's actually really funny. So like this was like our domination, our Scudetto dominance, and we are like 30 cents, 30 cents, 30 cents, a dollar, a dollar. And then Ronaldo gets brought into the club and we shoot up to like $2. That's like bonkers. But it goes to show though from scale. Let's see if I can pull up Exor's evaluation. Exor is actually really, that's, yeah, $80 to $87. So if we look at their 5-year average, yeah, Exor's price has kind of dipped. It dipped in 2022 and then it kind of rose back up again. It was terrible. Man, if you bought Exor in 2020, yeah, March of 2020 at $40 a share, holy smokes, you'd be making a pretty penny. Wow, Exor really took a dump during the coup. But let me get to some of your guys' chats here. Is Jeff saying, I don't care if it happens or not, makes no difference to me. David says it doesn't make sense right now to sell with the valuation being low. The shareholders are not satisfied to go out break even. Yeah, that's true. I really doubt it. That's the thing, right? Because of the because the issue again, you have to evaluate the club at 850. Or you have to do it at, like, for example, the club's actual valuation is 8.5 or 850 million. And then you have to also accompany the injections as well, which inflates the price to about 1.5. And then you're breaking even in a sense where it's like, for example, if Juve had no debt, if they had a profit and then they sold it for 1.5, then that 700 is essentially, a profit margin that the shareholders or the investors would get. And then they would, that would make sense to sell at that point if you didn't have the 700 million in capital gains and all that stuff, because again, that's recorded as debt because you're pulling the money. Like, yeah, Extra is the parent company, it's supplying it, but it still goes on to the record books that you have to supplement that money. And Exor is getting that 700 million from somewhere. It's not just like Exor's like, hey, 700 million. There you go. It just doesn't work that way. So like, I'm with David here. It just doesn't really make sense at all to really make that purchase or sell. Like if I'm, even if I'm selling or like if I'm purchasing the club, like yeah, you would purchase it with a clean slate with the 1.5, but it'd be a long return on investment, man. Because like for example, if we looked at so Exor said that Juve made about 400 million in revenue for about a fiscal year, and you're spending 1.5 billion. That's almost a 5 to 6 year return on investment. and you're really dumping $1.5 billion to get it back in about 5 to 6 years, you would think it'd be a good return on investment for certain folk, but then also you have to run into the factor of there could be more debt that's being incurred due to more stuff, and we'll talk about Pogba and the whole doping situation as well too, if that affects it as well. So there's a bunch of things, and it's like, yeah, if I'm the only time I could ever see anyone being interested to purchase Juve would be Saudi, because they're just kind of like, F it, let's just throw some money around. But I doubt it, because with certain political things that are going around in the world, I think the market isn't going to be as willy nilly, and I'm going to be 100% sure that they're going to start reeling in the funds. But you never know. Bone says, so when we say us Juve, we mean it. Yeah, buying those stocks. Is Jeff saying, I doubt Agnelli would sell the club? The Pride would. I doubt the Agnelli family in general would even liquidate it. It just doesn't make sense. Dahl says, I actually got about 1,000 in Juve stocks, and it went up when Ronaldo came in. It went crazy. Yeah, I could only imagine. That's like if you bought like 1,000,000 Dogecoin and it went from like half a penny to a penny. That's crazy. David saying, with the valuation being, yep, no, I gotcha. Dahl saying, in COVID, everything died. I got Apple, Fiat, Ford, and Sony stocks when they're all in a good profit. Juve pretty much breaking even from when I got. That's interesting. So did you purchase pre-Ronaldo or post-Ronaldo? Like as far as when he signed? Because I could imagine if you bought Juve stock back in like, yeah, like if you bought Juve stock in like 2015, 2016 when it was 30 cents, and then you sell it right after Ronaldo comes in at like $2 a share, I think you could make a pretty decent profit off of that. Because, we could do some quick maths here. Let me pull up my stock calculator. So our friend here purchased, I wonder, can I just share the calculator screen while I do it? Pre-Ronaldo, he says, I've had them for years. I gotcha. So he says pre-Ronaldo, I had them for years just because it's Juventus. Got it at about 40. Okay. And then sold a lot, bought back in. That's fair. I gotcha. But yeah, I mean it's a micro scale when you think about it too. So I think, yeah, it said it's been around 40. Yeah, that makes sense numbers wise. So sold it, brought back into it. Yeah, because the Juve stock price didn't really. Oh, so he sold it at 110. Vlad is here saying, "What's up, Dash?" Vlad, I wish you were here earlier when we were talking about the international break. But since you just came in, I gotta ask you, man, because I know you follow Serbia, but how was Kostic and Dusan? I know Mitrovic, and that was the one thing I thought was interesting, was that a guy that is in Saudi for Al Hilal started and scored a hat trick, and Dusan came off the bench, which I don't want to say it was hilarious. It's kind of concerning, but maybe you know more than I do in that regards, Vlad. So if you want to slap a comment on that, I'd love to share it, and we can talk about that before we get into Pogba. Dahl says, okay, so you bought it at around like 30 something and sold it at 110. That's still not a bad profit at all. Not bad at all. But I think I've rambled long enough on the sales stuff. I think we want to get into the main stuff that everyone's kind of losing. I don't want to say losing their mind on, but it's making its things around the internet, the interwebs, and that is Paul Pogba on the sauce. So I'm pulling up ESPN, ironically, because I live in the United States, and why not? Because it even made it to ESPN, which is absolutely ridiculous. So Juventus midfielder Paul Pogba tested positive for testosterone. Italy's anti-doping agency announced on Monday. The test was carried out at the Juventus game at Udinese on August 20th. Pogba did not play in the Serie A match, but was on the bench, so he did not see the field of play at all. Final thought here. Dave says, I thought about buying shares in preseason, but I'll let it be for the time. Let's see. Yeah, well, I mean, now's the perfect time to buy. It's 30 cents a share. Alrighty. So, the one thing I kind of want to talk about this one here that I think is quite interesting. Oh, I forgot I can change my view and make it look cool. Made myself look small here. Or maybe if I do this. Yeah. So the one thing I kind of want to talk to you guys about this on this article here is we were kind of lucky that he did not play. The reason why I say that we're lucky that he did not play is you can say what you want to say about FIGC, Syria, and the whole witch hunt thing, which I can totally understand. But if Pogba actually stepped on that field, we would have been docked 3 points. Udinese would have gotten 3 points. So again, I'm going to explain kind of like the whole shenanigans about extra testosterone in your system. Again, I'm not a medical professional here, just, a guy that trains and dabbles into this stuff, just to understand it more so. But had he actually stepped on the pitch, regardless of whether or not Juve gave him the substance, because that's the main question that's going on right now, is if Pogba actually was prescribed it by the Juventus training staff at J Medical, or his own personal nutritionist or fitness instructor or whatnot, because again, these guys have their own personal coaches outside of Juve as well, did that to him. So that's going to be the main question. So again, we got really lucky because regardless of how it got in there, it was in there, and he got tested post match, and it hit a ding. Whether it's a false positive or other things as well, that's going to be investigated later. But again, that would have been more so on grounds of, hey, let's dock Juve some points because it's a scandal. But again, it's honestly, the thing is, it's the rule. Like, if you get busted doping, you get docked points for it, and in a sense, it's rightfully so. So NATO Italia, the anti-doping agency, said that Pogba was suspended provisionally with immediate effect. So obviously, that's just being unable to play or selection, pending a trial and testing of the backup B sample. So you always take multiple samples when you get drug tested. So, like, for example, in all sports, NBA, MLB, NFL, soccer, footy, all of it. It depends on how the league does it. Like, for example, if you're in the NBA, say that, I average 15 points a game, corner three shooter, and then one game I decide to just do drives to the hole, multiple 3-point shots. I have a 50. So, like, for example, Damian Lillard scored like a 50 to no, he scored a 70-point game. NBA is like, all right, bud, you got to pee in a cup time. So I don't know for sure how Pogba administered the test, because there's urine samples, there's also blood samples where they, do a blood test. I really, to be honest with you guys, because it's post match, I really doubt that they jabbed him and took blood from it. I think more so they took a piss per se. They said, "Hey man, you got to pee in a cup," and that's it. Which, to be honest with you, it's not the most accurate, because, like, for example, even when you drug test for an employer, there's multiple ways. You can pee in a cup, you can snip some hair, you can also draw blood. Obviously, drawing blood is the most accurate form of doing a doping test. For me, I don't have the information's not out there, right? They don't really say how he got tested. All they know is that he failed the test. So the thing is like, we kind of have to wait and see, because again, he took a B sample, obviously, because urine samples aren't really, they're accurate, but not the most accurate here. So waiting, pending on a B sample, he risks suspension up to 4 years, and I believe that's grounds for termination on his contract. So Juve could essentially get out of his contract, and I hate saying that. Like, it sucks to say that, but it's also 8 million a season. In acceptance of the instance proposed by the National Anti-Doping Prosecutor, it has been provided for a provisional suspension of Pogba. So it says here, the tribunal has said, whoops, I lost my train of thought. The tribunal said that Pogba violated anti-doping. They found prohibited substance non-endogenous testosterone metabolically. So let's slap that on here and do the ye old Google search here of what that is, and we can get educated a little bit here. So I'm going to share this tab now. Swap this one here. Oops. And holy smokes, that is a huge definition. Let me see if I can simple it down for you guys. Because again, not a medical professional here. Is that it right there? Yes. Alrighty. So essentially what it says is endogenous testosterone production stimulated by the LH secretion of the pituitary, leading to lytic cell activation of testosterone, blah, blah, blah. So when exogenous testosterone is administered, okay, blah blah blah. This doesn't really give us too much information here, but kind of going back to this tab here. So adding that the results were consistent with an exogenous origin of the target compound. So that's just saying an external factor, which is beyond the natural body production limit per se. So uh, comments are hilarious. Juventus issues a statement acknowledging the positive result in suspension. So Juve have acknowledged that he is being suspended and whatnot. So now they're evaluating the next procedure steps. Translation, we need to see if Juve actually administered the drug to him or not. So obviously, the negative note for the player who's been bothered by injuries ever since joining Juve from Man United over some time ago and been ruled out from France's World Cup with a knee injury. This is also talking about how they're investigating into his brothers and whatnot and all that other shenanigans here. So Pogba has yet to start a game, but made 2 substitutes appearances and blah, blah, blah. So another blow to Juve with a bunch of other. Of course they have to. Seriously, man. Of course it's the media. It's another blow to Juve after a season marred by inquiries of false accounting and irregular reporting and salary repayments that resulted in them being docked points and a ban from European competition. Can we just wait before people just post that stuff? Like, holy hell, man. Like, come on. Like, of course they have to throw this last article or this last sentence here, and then just like, yeah, let's just dock them. Like, Tall's not wrong about the whole thing being sexy about dunking on Juve. Let me get to some of your comments real quick here. Jeff saying, hopefully it's a false positive. Vlad saying, not surprising. Mitrovic has always been the first choice. Just look at the scoring rate for the national team. Kostic was bad against Hungary, got subbed off at halftime, and his sub played better. Donald's saying the hair test is the most accurate. You can't always hide it. It stays in your hair sample for years. Yeah, isn't it? Because, like, for example, it goes into, like, essentially it's like it follows the root, like anything. If you do any kind of substance or anything like that, it actually gets trapped within the root of your hair follicles. Again, not a doctor, so just a sports guy. Vlahovic was very wasteful against Hungary. Great movement, but finishing was very off. And OG should have been his goal, really, but he hit it really clumsy, like the third goal against Real in the preseason. People says, Dash, how can you still believe in Paul? I said, hold on. We got to wait until all the facts. I can't be dunking on somebody and then all of a sudden it comes out the opposite. Then I just look stupid. Come on, guys. You know, here at the Turin Giants, we don't hop on stuff. We have better attention spans than that. Vlad says, Paul looks like someone desperate enough to get on that tee. Yeah, but he's so tiny. He's tall, but tiny. David says, doesn't that still affect the games that he was subbed, though? Hamburger still doping case with the Croatian player. He got banned for 2 years. The team to get penalized. The thing is like, it's tough, right? Because you got to look at it from a legal proceeding. Like, they would have to prove that he was doping against Empoli and Bologna. And they don't have samples of those games. They could, like, for example, say that they take a sample of Paul now. They could make the argument that it could have affected it. That's something I hope that doesn't happen, because then you could have basis for claims there. But the thing is like, he didn't play in Udine, and he got tested right after Udine. They didn't test him after, guys, because so, like, for example, players on the team are subject to random tests. Pogba hasn't been tested since. So the B sample, so at the time he got tested, they took an A sample, the primary sample, and then a B sample. After that, he has not been tested or been selected for testing. So my only concern is because Allegri put him on the bench, even though I don't think Allegri had the plan of playing him at all. That's the only thing where I could see them arguing, oh, well, he was on the bench and he was selected and he was doping. So again, like I said, we got lucky that he didn't play, but I still think it's very difficult for them to argue a case against the Bologna and Empoli game there. This is him talking to Vlad. Colin says, hey, everyone. People saying it's very feasible on The Office. So the Juventus is now just changed. Doll coming in. I'm a pharmacist and worked with athletes for years. You'd be surprised how many stuff from the club, how many stuff are on stuff from the club, but they have state-of-the-art doctors and cyclostomascum, Bayern, COVID, UCL team, Man City. Yeah, 100%. So it's like, the thing is like, Pogba being high on testosterone, to me, like, for example, it's actually quite normal. Like, for example, Sergio Ramos had high levels of testosterone or stuff like muscle relaxers and pain stimulants. Like, for example, if any of you guys watch the NFL, I made the joke about Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl being put on horse tranquilizer after spraining his ankle mid-game and coming out to play. Like, The thing is like, and Dahl hits it perfectly on the head here. Sports teams have pharmacists, they have dietitians, they have people that understand your body cycle, and they ration because, like, for example, Pogba, all players, Dusan, Chiesa, everybody takes testosterone, different BCAs, amino acids, all of it. Like, they take all of that stuff. The only thing is like, for example, you can't ban testosterone because your body naturally produces it, right? But the thing is and I'll kind of pull up another article here as well as what testosterone essentially is for folks that don't know. But like, there's a bunch of things like whey protein, a bunch of other stuff that you need to take to recover from games to get better physically. The only issue here is I think that someone or something messed up and Pogba's numbers were essentially higher than the allotted rate that, that pings the test. So for me, it's 100% normal that people do this. I mean, you look at the dude that's down, like, for example, you have people that are taking creatine. You have people that are taking other things as well. It's normal. It's just unfortunately his levels were elevated. David said because they could prove that they didn't prescribe or gave him something. I think that's the main thing that Juve's shooting for, right? They're trying to show that they haven't prescribed anything. Dahl saying Liverpool. He took this without the club, and that's why he's popped off, and he should have got growth hormones, not testosterone, due to his injury. Yeah, I agree with that one. Paul says Paul's not a professional, so I don't believe with this irregular garbage. Dahl says that's why the team will be pissed. I'm surprised Chiesa hasn't been popped. I think, to be honest with you, I think because that'd be interesting, right? I'm actually really interesting. People says, please in the chat, like the stream. Thank you, people. Vlad says, thank God Max didn't listen to Dusan and subbed Paul in against Udinese. Yeah. So, Dahl says testosterone is very, very bad for the joints, and it would explain his consistent injury. You'd be surprised how many pro athletes go to bro science and cowboy doctors. Yeah. Well, and then YouTube doctors, right? Because, like, so for example, with my knee injury, because I had a meniscus injury and I didn't do the surgery on my knee, I just kind of decided I did the long PT road back. And for me, it was more so needing to get omega 3s and whatnot into my system instead of testosterone. Like, the thing is like testosterone is really, if you, it's more so for bulking and building muscle, right? So like it helps with recovery. Testosterone helps your muscles recover. And the thing is I think that's what Pogba was trying to do on the side with his own personal. I hope it's not the J Medical facility, because if they did, they should get fired. But usually, whenever you have a knee injury, it's always one of those things where doctors or orthopedic specialists will tell you, "Hey, you need to strengthen your hamstrings, you need to strengthen your quads, you need to strengthen the muscles around your legs to help reduce the load." So I'm very curious who really botched it, because, like, for example, Pogba has a bunch of muscle injury issues, and usually, again, you need to strengthen the muscle. Vlad says, yeah, everybody is microdosing. Yeah, everybody does. Again, Dahl said it. There's cycles. Your body goes through cycles where your levels are elevated and then they go back down after you take it. There is not a single professional athlete that does not dope. I think the only athlete that's probably the master of it without being caught is Cristiano Ronaldo. That guy and LeBron James, their bodies are essentially to the point where, like, for example, LeBron James spends over millions of dollars on his physical ability a year. That's, different vitamins, different BCAs, different amino acids and whatnot. So it's like every team does it. Every professional athlete does it. Again, it's just following the cycles, and that's why you need wizard staff to make sure that it doesn't happen. Because come on, everybody's looking for a professional advantage in the game, or a performance advantage. Colin says, could this just all be the latest? It wouldn't surprise me. Pipo Dusan is a Pogba fan. Trying to get to your guys' comments here. I'm sorry. Dahl says there's no advancement in injury recovery. It's basically PEDs, and they don't get tested. And COVID players didn't get tested for 2 years, so normally they get tested every 3 months, which is piss poor. And then talking about Colin and the witch hunt claims here. And then Dahl saying football wants a clean image, but it's dirty AF. They're very, very lenient on testing, same as the UFC, cycling, and whatnot. These special injury clinics that are just cycling PEDs in Germany are the king, and the USA are kings of it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, have you not seen, like, for example, Byron? Holy smokes. Vlad said I had a meniscus injury too. Didn't operate on it. I feel you, Dash. Yeah, it kind of sucks because like I always get that issue whenever I'm kneeling. I always feel it. That's the one thing about mine is like because it happened on the same knee twice. Like I had a meniscus injury on the same knee twice. I didn't operate on it, but either times it's just because the thing is like you think about it, like a lot of people say, what's the point of because you're taking out your meniscus instead of because it doesn't repair, right? Unless there's some like orthopedic wizards that can do that. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like whenever you're on your knees per se, and pause by the way. But like if you're ever kneeling or something like that, I always still feel it. But it never really affects the way that I play. So why not? David saying, aren't all professional sports dirty like that? If you make it to a certain level to compete with other contemporaries that are literally after your job, you go to lengths to be on top of your competition. Also, the fact that playing 3 matches a day for the past couple of years didn't help as well because it gets to the point where you're overtraining. And a lot of these athletes were overtraining, especially with the coof and all that other jazz and all that other garbage that was going on over the past couple of years with the condensed schedules. So you look at it, it's honestly normal. Again, it's one of those things where you need to figure out you have to have a great staff that can sit there and figure out the cycles and whatnot. Like for example, me, even though I'm not a professional athlete or anything like that, I still like to play footy at a high level. So I have a strength coach, I have a nutritionist that I work with and I talk to. And again, you grow up into it and you're like, oh my God, creatine's terrible. But if you know how to moderate the dosage and the amounts, it's not bad. Or, like, for example, certain supplements and whatnot. So it's like you need to really understand where your body is and how to cycle through it. And then that's what professional athletes do. They have that entire, like, if you guys spent time looking at, like, for example, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Juve, Man City, especially Man City, because that team is ridiculously data driven. But if you look at all of that stuff, and how they extensively research what vitamins, what nutrients, what supplements help muscle recovery. Does this do this? Can I do this? What does that? Et cetera, et cetera. There is, and Dahl could probably confirm this for me. The pharmaceutical industry, in regards to sports performance and recovery, is insane the amount of money that's in there. Because it's how can I get back on the field faster? How can I grow faster? What can I do to get better faster? There is a huge market of that. So Dahl's saying, look at Ronaldo. He's in the best shape of his life, and your testosterone level declines after 30. It's legal in Arab countries. That's why bodybuilders and pros go there for the holidays, air quote holidays. Dahl says, what was Klopp's team for knowing? Was known for pressing. There are many PEDs and EPO and inhalers that increase stamina and lung capacity, not necessarily for bulking. Yeah, that's right. Again, my knowledge to it isn't as in depth when it comes to it. I know like the surface level stuff, but I don't know anything really too deep into it. Frankie says I like being on my knees. Okay, Frankie. Just wait until the Lions play the Packers. I'm gonna ream you a new one. David saying NBA playing every day or two, or the freaking NFL where they get hit by cars every weekend. They do and take every shit to stay healthy and recovered as possible. Yep. Dahl saying, I'm not gonna lie, I think Juve are behind in the PED game. That's why we gas out Pogba and most likely picked this up from United. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, like again, Germany somehow is just miles ahead when it comes to that kind of stuff. But yeah, it would not surprise me. It would not surprise me at all. I think Man City is probably ahead when it comes into the medical research and medical science as far as player performance. Because it's like, how many times has any player in Man City been injured for like an extended period of time? And then what was it? There was that one player, Hernandez, that tore his ACL at Bayern Munich, came back in like 6 or 7 months, where Chiesa struggled to come back in a year and a half. Like, holy smokes. Ridiculous amount of money. Yeah, 100%. Crap players can basically become prime Vidals, aka Henderson and company. Every Liverpool player got diagnosed with asthma. They were caught at halftime taking inhalers. That's actually interesting. I never really followed Liverpool that much to know, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, right? And then Bayern got that good. They do got that good. Dahl says, bro, Pep was popped for PEDs, and the same doctor he brought into Man City had with him at Bayern and Barca. That's actually funny because that is actually true. I can actually pull that for you guys. Like Pep Guardiola actually got busted with PEDs back in the day. Come on. Disable ad blocker. Gosh, man, I remember there was a day where like ad blocker wasn't an issue. So let's look at this. So I'm gonna share this with you guys. We'll have some fun here. So 5 players that got busted with PEDs, 5 famous football players. Kolo Toure played for 3 Premier League teams, and he got a 6-month ban after he tested positive for a banned substance on a drug test. I guess it doesn't say. Nope. Edgar Davids, one of our guys, huh? So Edgar Davis, widely viewed as one of the best midfielders in his generation, relentless, present at heart in the pitch, dynamic midfielder around, dominant Juve. In 2001, during his time at Juve, he was banned for an anabolic steroid, nanodrone, given a 4-month ban, denied taking the drug. I have never taken any illegal substances in my life, he says. The next one is Adrian Mutu. So joined Chelsea. Mutu tested positive for cocaine. Wow. You know, ironically, that actually boosts your performance. Like, that's how crazy that is. Like, that's why a lot of players, that's why like in the 80s, like cocaine was all over the damn place. Number 2, Pep Guardiola. So before becoming one of the best coaches in football, he had a long career as a decent midfielder. He was an excellent player, boasted great vision, ball control, and incredible reading of the game. In 2001, Pep Guardiola failed a drug test and a banned substance called nandroline. Dog, can you explain what that is? Nandrolene? Yeah, it's nandrolene. Being identified in his bloodstream. However, the Spaniard wasn't having any of it and battled the claim and went on for 6 years. But the predicate goes because he cleared his name. So Pep actually cleared his name in 2007. And numero uno, Diego Maradona. His career has been tainted by several off-the-field scandals. During 91, he was given a 15, positive for cocaine. Positive cocaine. I knew it. Yeah, but what? Because I know that's like one of the things that's really common, right? The nanodronaline. I think that's what it is. Nanodronaline. I think that's what it's called. Let me Google that. Anabolic steroid used to treat anemia, osteoporosis, and other conditions. So that's a recovery drug. It's a muscle recovery drug. Bones says, Italy be behind on the other things I tell you. Bayern actually has a scouting department for doctors. Yeah, I believe that. I mean, that's why half their squad looks yoked on Instagram. Dahl says, I follow football and PDs closely. It's hilarious how Liga was rampant with them, and even Llorente was popped. Ramos was popped plenty of times. Ramos was actually popped for failing a drug test after the Champions League final against us. Maradona was fire with that cocoa. Dahl says, bro, look, and Leon Gorsteca and his change before and after COVID. Yeah. He just worked out and did push-ups and sit-ups and drank plenty of juice. Dragon Ball Z reference there. I remember that was like the biggest thing in like 2021 because this comment here, the hairline died, and he was like bedroom workouts, chicken and rice, impossible to build that much lean mass in that time. That's my favorite excuse. Like you go up and you're like, that guy's not natty whatsoever. He's like, bro, chicken breasts, baked sweet potatoes, and rice. That is how I got this physique. I did, what is it? Oh God, what was the stupid thing during COVID? Like the 100 push-up challenge or some corny crap like that. Like I did 100 push-ups, I did 100 squats, and yeah, I have a 6-pack, and I have like insane vasculinity, and I had chicken, rice, and potatoes. Like holy smokes, man. That is absolutely nuts. Well, that says cocaine for short. Explosive outbursts. Football is an anaerobic sport. Doubt it really helps. I could imagine they had it in their socks, right? You just pull it out and just go mid game and do something like that. Nandrolene is a synthetic testosterone and wasn't tested for until it was. Doll, Vaughn says to Doll, you forgot broccoli, rice, and chicken, and broccoli, and potatoes, and Brussels sprouts, and asparagus. Now, asparagus makes your pee smell like garbage. David said, not only the Gorsteka Doll, look at the whole damn Byron squad. Yeah, remember the Lewandowski? Oh my god. That was nuts. I got you guys. There you go. Boom. Like this is what Doll was referencing too back then. But like, yeah, look at that definition on Gorsteka, on Lewandowski, Alaba. Like that is bonker. Like even Coutinho. Like I remember Coutinho at Bayern Munich. Dude was yoked. And like the funny thing is if you look at Gorsteka now, like Gorsteka does not look like this anymore. Like nowhere near that. Let's see if I have any more. Is this an ad? What the hell's popping up here? There we go. Yeah, because look at that. That's actually Gorsteka when he first came in. On the left. That is insane. Same thing with Coutinho. I mean, yeah, maybe there's a little bit of photo editing here, but look at that bicep definition there. That's bonkers. Yeah, look at that. What the hell they feed these guys at Bayern? Like again, them coming in here. So this is before they came in. So like that's Gorsteka back then. That's Alaba back then, and then. I mean, hey, credit to the Germans, dude. They know how to get their people yoked. I'm just waiting for a super shredded picture of Harry Kane. That'd be hilarious. Just like Harry Kane, just straight up six pack and everything. Oh, that's bonkers. And then catching up with your comments here, David says, especially all that lean muscle with them and being skinny as us. Yeah. Yeah. Frankie saying out here on them sensu beans. No, they got the sensu beans, the hyperbolic time chamber, a bunch of other jazz. Legit, the one on that One Punch Man routine. Colin says 100 push-ups a day will change you 100%. No, yeah, I agree with you. Like 100%, but like at the same point, it gets to the point where you've maxed out, right? Once you max out those 100 push-ups, you can't really go any further. And it's like the definition that these guys have is just it's crazy. Bone says the one punch effect. Alphonse Davies became a damn tank. I thought that was Alba, not all. Yeah, he did too. Dahl says it's just like the Wanka Hollywood guys on Chicken and Rice. Yeah, Chris Hemsworth trained 2 times a day. Anyone who knows anything about sports science knows you would lose muscle mass. The only way that works is with the sauce. Yeah, because you need so much other stuff. And it's like, for example, for them to be as cut as they are, like you would have to like barely like that's the thing, man. Like body fat percentages, like you'd have to have a low body fat percentage while also maintaining the proper protein levels, which is ridiculous without any external help. Helicopter coming in saying, Chiao. Hi, Ellie. Yep. Google Byron before and after, especially Gorsteka. Bone says, if you haven't seen the video, the guy comes on the field after Maradona scores and gives him a hit for celebrations. Dahl says, everyone forgets they were flopping and the 11th after COVID. Boom. Monsters. Real Madrid was suspicious with doping. Germans can get their players swole, but their whole game plan is ass. And then Dahl says that Leon transformation for a natural guy is realistically a 5 to 10 year time frame, not 6 freaking months. And he was fast and powerful. And now, like, he used to flop back then. Colin says, yeah, you plateau. Bone says, yeah, eating is good. Hard workouts, good recovery, but I can't stress this enough. It's lots and lots of drugs. Jeff saying, what's the point of biceps if you're getting clapped by Japan? Oh man, none of so the thing is like, I kind of because I have David, I have German David here. I gotta ask him about that at some point in the stream, man. Like, holy smokes. Like that was ridiculous. Like I understand like them wanting to get Hansi Flick fired, but like, wow. Wow. I thought Italy fell off. But Germany's like a close second. The only difference is Germany doesn't have to go through qualifying. Colin says, Canadian winners make us all tanks. Dahl says Hansi was a crap manager. Just look, he got sacked. But when your team are monsters, you can easily win like Juve back in the days. Touche. But is that? I want to kind of put that argument and say I think like the German team is kind of like meh. Like, is that fair? Can I do that fairly? Like, can I say like this crop of German? Like, yeah, David and Dahl, feel free to comment on this one. But like, isn't Germany just kind of meh? Like as far as talent wise? And then David says, if I explain to you all that shit, you will lose your mind. Well, it'd be good content though. So yeah, let me pull that up because I think I've covered pretty much everything. I think we've pretty much covered it, right? Like as far as the I can't even say without stuttering the testosterone. Obviously, I'm sure it was part of Pogba's recovery plan, right? So I'm gonna put my final thread and we'll talk about Germany real quick. But obviously, the final thought here is that Pogba was probably taking some kind of supplement to help his recovery, his muscle recovery, because his muscles suck. Like, let's be honest, like Paul's muscles are just terrible. So obviously they took something. He took something, didn't go through the right cycle. Unfortunately, missed. The drug testing happened right after his cycle or before his cycle or whatnot, and it got flagged. Good news for Juve, he didn't play. I think Juve just have to prove that we didn't do it, and it was him on his own or him doing something. I think that's going to be the main thing. Um, Again, looking at it from devil's advocate, if he does get busted for having that system or taking that within him, essentially Juve have the authorization to nullify his contract if that's in the clause. Usually they have a doping clause, so there is a possibility of him essentially being told to walk and Juve not losing any money. Sports media said that like Juve are potentially looking to negotiate with Pogba about leaving the club, and it's just it's just no. I don't want to believe this whatsoever. So, I I think so. I mean, the thing is honestly, it depends on Juve, right? It depends on the suspension. If he's banned for X amount of time, I see Juve probably trying to cut their losses. The only thing that sucks, in a sense, is you lose a midfielder. But the benefit of this moment or this situation is you get to see Hans play a little bit more. So Nicolucci might actually get some shots at playtime. But the thing is, though, like I kind of want to iterate too, guys. Go on Juventus's Twitter. Look at Hans's backstory. Like they have a video where his grandpa built him a pitch at like 1.8 kilometers in the mountains for him to train. It's like a fenced off pitch with a goal. It's actually pretty dope. Because his dad actually made a video for Hans saying, "Hey Hans, look at you. You've made your dream. You're playing for Juve and whatnot." So I think that's the one thing. And Vlad saying, "Thank God we didn't loan Moretti out." Yeah, absolutely. But the silver lining in Paul being suspended, if he is suspended long term or whatnot, if Paul's suspended for 4 years, I think Pogba is going to retire. Like if you get, because that's the max sentencing for this. Like if he gets busted and it's proved that Juve have no doing in this and whatnot, it's all straight. What's his face? It's straight Pogba doing this, and he gets banned for 4 years. Um, I really think that more so Juve's, or not even Juve, but I think Paul's going to say, "Hey, I'm retiring. I'm done. This is it," because he's already contemplating it with the whole witch doctor shenanigans and the extortion from his family. So it sucks. I feel bad for Pogba, the person, but at the same time, me, like if I put on my Juve cap and I don't have it, or I do have it, haha. So I don't even know why I'm wearing headphones because I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just talking to you guys, which I just find ridiculously weird. So if I put on my Juve cap, hey, if he gets busted, we ship him out. We start fresh. Hans gets more playing time, as well as you get to see Meretti more. Fortunately, you get to see Locatelli until Locatelli finds a way to pick up his performances. But, hey, we're Juventus. We move on. It's not, the end of the year because Pogba got busted with testosterone. Even though, again, I think I think there's more to it. I'd rather not bite and see because like it's irritating because yeah, it's doping, but you also need to understand the context of it because like everyone's like, oh man, busted for doping, blah 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 blah. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. It's it puts a really stupid image, and that's what kind of irritates me. Is like some folks just kind of make it come out as like a really dumb image without doing their due diligence. Because it's like again, nobody's really a medical professional when it comes to this whole content space, so they're gonna say stuff like that, like, hey, Pogba's doping, the club's a joke, Juve's stupid, blah blah blah. I need more likes and more monetization and more ad revenue. So let me post a clickbait video or something about that saying Juve's busted for doping because that's going to be sexy, right? Stupid. But I honestly, guys, I would wait, see what happens, wait until the tribunal and all that other jazz does their due diligence and whatnot. Because in all honesty, it's really the testosterone was used for muscle recovery in some extent. It has to be for muscle recovery. There's no way. Pogba's not huge. He's not jacked. He's not bodybuilding. He's not doing that and whatnot. So I'd simmer down. I don't believe the hype that a bunch of folks are posing as well. It just irritates the hell out of me. All right, let me catch up. Take a quick minute, catch up with some of your comments because you guys are awesome. Thank you for being super engaging. Because like I'm honestly like without Dave, I'm kind of like okay, I need to talk by myself for over an hour. I don't have Dave to ping things back, so like I just want to, sit here, give you guys like a nice big round of applause. Like you guys have been definitely keeping me engaged here, so I don't have to sit there and just kind of be like, "Crap, what do I say?" So
Stitch coming in wide.
that's Dave. Sorry. There we go. So I need to catch up, man. Holy smokes! All right. So Doll says, I'm so used to tall. Now we have doll. Bro, they're all sauced up to grill it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about natural talent. David talking more so about Germany. So they use Schleuderbeck, who is a left center back in Japan. Flick used him as Pep uses Ake, but the difference is Schleuderbeck played 13 minutes left back in his whole career. Yeah, there he is, Schleuderbeck. Frankie says, posted something in the gaming Discord regarding EAFC 24. But y'all, some Pepsi, y'all, if you what? I think y'all peeps autocorrect. Yeah, I'm gonna throw that on here, guys, because we have a Discord where we're building a pro clubs team as well too, and Frankie's also posting some other stuff for Ultimate Team as well. Discord's right there in the top corner of the screen. I believe it's top left, maybe you're not. But again, guys, if you want to join the Discord, a lot of people are on there. You can talk with everybody, get some really good good conversations, some good context as well, some good FIFA pro clubs and all jazz like that. No, Juve is not getting sold, Infinity. You can relax. There's no claims to Juve being sold. And then David saying search Antonio Rudiger and not running back to defense. Yeah, that's like a 15-hour compilation. I know. Dodge says Pogba definitely did this without the club knowing and didn't mask it properly. The club would have fixed it, hid it if he told them. Jeff saying the German team is mid talent-wise. Defensively, they're non-existent. Midfield is solid, but they have no strikers. This team has players, but no goal scorers. Look, maybe I'm old school, but like for example, if I'm looking at this here, like your main stud in this German squad is going to be Gundogan, maybe Sane, even though I know like Germans aren't really big fans of Sane, and then maybe Kimmich, because Musiala is not here at all, right? And then like Thomas Mueller is on his last legs. Like Thomas Mueller is essentially on his swan song, but I just I don't see it, man. Like Rudiger's always been a back three defender, not a back four. And the thing is, Hansi Flick was trying to run a back three, but the players didn't want to. But I don't know because the whole thing and Misak made a video. When me and Misak made that video about Allegri's tactics, everyone's switching to a back three with the new style of play. But like for example, Emre Can to me is like mediocre. I don't know too much about Wirtz. I'm sure you guys could probably attest to him. I know Kai Havertz isn't consistent, right? Kai Havertz not, the superstar that he is. But like for example, you look at it, like Gnabry is average, right? Average or above average. Sane is like your only air quote superstar. Kai Havertz, average to above average. Gundogan's probably like your best center defensive midfielder that you have. Rudiger, good for Real, terrible for Germany. Dave said again, Schleuderbeck's only played in this position for 13 minutes. Kimmich is like your utility guy. Like he's fives across the board. And then Ter Stegen is still playing, which is interesting. So I thought that was interesting. But hey, Japan proved blue lock is actually real. So nothing more you can say about that. All right, I need to get to your comments. Donald saying a lot of times when players don't travel and are perfect because PEDs, so they don't randomly pop. Yep. Vlad saying, thanking God we did not loan Moretti out. Jeff saying Rudiger is trash. I'm glad Juve didn't get him. David, you're absolutely right about Rudiger. Frankie says, Pogba has to know it's about time to hang it up, man. Infinity asking if Juve is getting sold. I said, nope, no claims to that. Lazar in January. That's enticing. Maybe. Frankie says, bring in Edison Alvarez next year if he does well at West Ham. Bring in some Mexican Grinta in the CDM role. Jeff, I agree with you. Pogba has to go if this is true. Yeah. He says, is Juve sold? No, they're not being sold. Frankie says, no, Infinity, it is not. David wants to ask you a question. Dave wants to ask you a question as well. I went from 129 to 90 in a year of dieting and going to the gym 5 times a week. At a certain point, I can't build up strength or muscle. You just got to whack it. You just got to wank it, mate. You'll get bigger again. Get that full mom strength. Oh, my, you're sounding like BZ, dog. Damn. I mentioned them, so someone's going to be pissed at me for it now. I reached my limit, natural limit with my eating. I guess, Trash and Pogba, something BZ would do. They probably did. I think they made a live stream earlier. They're like, I to be honest with you, I didn't even watch it, didn't even listen to it. I just saw it on my notifications, and I'm just like, I don't really care. Because it's the thing, man. I really, it gets frustrating for me, right? Because it's like, yeah, it's attractive for Juve to look bad, right? And the thing is like I don't find any glee in dunking on it. Like, yeah, say that Pogba gets busted for doping and he actually was using or he was juicing. Okay, he needs to be held accountable for it. Like, what more do you want me to say? Juve's a joke because he's doping, or our club's in shambles because he's doping? This is the first time shit like this has happened. You know how many times under the Monji era that we were accused of doping? That super team that Fabio Capello couldn't do jack shit with, everybody accused us of doping at that time. It's normal. It's sports. There's always controversy and stuff, especially if you're a good team. Like, hasn't Barcelona not been and Real Madrid not been subject to controversy for the past decade and a half because of their dominance? Yes, it's questionable, but I'm saying if we look at it from a paper level, right? How many times during that Ronaldo three-peat of Champions League, oh, Real Madrid bought referees, they bought calls. Be that as it may, I'm just stating what we saw. Same thing with Barcelona and Chelsea, right? You have a bunch of other things. Like, do you see Barcelona fans and Real Madrid fans saying our club's in shambles? Even when they kind of hit their lulls? The only time Barcelona fans are saying that their club is in shambles right now is because they're actually broke. Like, that is an actual argument per se. Because their previous president was an absolute dumbass. But, like, come on, man. I don't understand, like, the whole appeal. For me, it's like, I can't sit here for an hour and 30 minutes and sit here and be like, Juve is a joke. Juve is this. Juve did that. Juve did that. Oh, by the way, guys, like and subscribe to my video and watch me talk about Lazio and how we're going to get shat on. Like, that to me is just weird. Like, I don't get it. Colin says you're top notch, buddy. Thank you. Vlad with the laughing emojis. Dahl says the public are sheep. 90% of athletes are doping. Canelo was what he is eating some Mexican beef. No, it was expensive wagyu. He was eating the wagyu. This is only getting highlighted because it's Juve and Pogba. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And it's not even me playing the victim card of like, oh man, they're always targeting Juve. Again, it's what gets views and clicks, man. Hey, I get it. Gives you ad money. That's why they're doing it. Frankie says, nah, Jeff, they'll find a way to make a end is near video. Honestly, Sane is really good. I always thought that Sane had a work ethic issue, and that was my main thing with Sane. Frankie says, I've always liked Sane since he was at City. David saying, Sane, Musiala, and Wirtz are the only guys that can fight on the pitch. Havertz is sleepier than Sandro, and the second Fulkrug. I think I said that right. Dave's not here to correct me. Went injured. Flick went back to Müller, who is retired after the World Cup. I thought he was. And then Mitoma to the moon. Colin saying, told you he was cancerous. Infinity, do we have a chance to win the league? Absolutely. And I'm being honest, absolutely. I think we have a chance. One of our best starts to the so I'll kind of sidebar with this real quick. Infinity says with regards to that, I think you're new, so I don't think you've been watching us for too long. But with this style of the inverted wing play, as long as everyone stays healthy and Dusan can actually hit the ball on the barn door per se, we have a very good chance. A very good chance to win the league. If not, I would say right now Milan are heavy favorites, just the way that they've come out of the out of the gate blazing. But I really think it might be a potential 3-team race between us, Inter, and Milan. But we have a very good chance to win the league with 1 game a week, as well as kind of how we've been playing. We had a little bit of an error against Bologna, but again, we picked it back up against Empoli. Infinity, I think to answer your question, I think how we come up against Lazio is going to be crucial, which I'm kind of happy that they beat Napoli, because now that kind of takes the pressure off Lazio saying that they have to win a game. So it kind of takes away the pressure from them. So it's easier for us to catch them on the mistakes. But Lazio don't look that good. There's a very good chance, man. Look, I'm not trying to sell you on hopes and dreams here, but with the intricacies of play, with Cambiaso, with Weah, with McKennie now evolving as a right wing back and actually pretty decent at it as well. Chiesa, Keane, all of those guys, as well as the midfield. I do think, like, for example, Locatelli is going to get better, guys. I know he's not playing his best, but he's going to grow. Fajoli's going to grow as well. I really think with one game a week, barring some Coppa Italia matches, I think there's a good chance, man. Like, if you look at it, it's a pretty decent good chance. Dahl says, my guy who can't get bigger, go less. So less reps. I mean, heavier size, it'll fly on. Yeah, if you're bulking, you got to go heavier weight, less reps. You gotta max out. By the way, that testosterone cream is only used for testosterone replacement, so it's illegal anyways. But ain't no other cream with test. Test is not being used for anything but muscle wastage and muscle building. So again, he's saying that's what testosterone is not used for anything besides that. So muscle wastage and building. So that's pretty much it. And that's it elevates your testosterone levels because you need testosterone to repair damaged muscle. That's it. Or if you're trying to bulk, essentially that's what it is. That's how you bulk. You replace your muscle with more muscle, or more stronger and bigger muscles. He says it's called Endoframe the Cream. That's so funny. Sponsored by Endoframe, Endofime the Cream. I totally agree. Why be negative? Yeah. Vlad says we need a separate live talking about Italy's struggles. Hey, I got some time. We can talk about it. I think we covered everything. Jeff says we will win the league, and Jeff will probably give me a voice message on Discord saying why we'll win the league. Frankie's saying, what are we thinking about U.S. not letting Way and McKinney go back early? Screw the U.S. because they're only playing friendlies. Greg Berhalter, you're an absolute douchebag. There, that's my thoughts on that. I get really pissed off with CONCACAF and CONMEBOL nations. They always give you your players back 2 days before their match. I get seriously irritated with the Western Hemisphere for that garbage, honestly, because it's like the United States aren't playing any qualifiers. Like, what qualifiers are they doing? They're invited to the Copa America because they're hosts, and they're also invited to the World Cup because they're hosts. They don't need to do qualifying. So it makes no sense. And here's the funny thing. They're playing Oman tomorrow at 8:30. Heaven forbid that the United States struggles to beat Oman. Oh, that they need Way and McKennie. I'm sure Milan's pissed about it too with Pulisic. Like, I don't understand the delay in giving your players back. Like, this is a friendly. Nobody cares if you beat Oman 3-0 or 3-0. It's cool, but nobody cares at the end of the day. Like, come on now. Like, geez Louise, folks. That's my rant about Berhalter in the U.S. They're stupid. Dahl says, I think Conte has a great sauce team. I'm not going to lie. Our team became monsters, and look what he did to Lukaku. Yeah, he made Lukaku a lot better physically. Like, I I'm going to say something very unpopular, and it's a hot take, but if Juve had someone with a physical if Juventus had somebody with the physical profile of Lukaku, we'd easily win the Scudetto this year. Like, I'm not saying that we need like Lukaku the person. I'm saying if you had Lukaku the body, like if Dusan was built and had the same exact copy or mirror of Lukaku, holy hell, we would be in a really good shape. Because the thing is again, if I'm giving you a slow rolling ball, like if I give Lukaku a ball, like a slow ball, not like just a laser beam towards his foot, he has an average touch. I just need Lukaku to throw that shit back, and I mean his body back, pause, and then be able to slot me a through ball as I'm running through. Like Chiesa would love a hold up play specialist like Lukaku. Like again, I have the unpopular opinion. I thought that he would have helped us. I hate him personality wise. I think he's a giant douchebag. But you got to recognize what he has. Like I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe Dusan will get there, but it's only a matter of time. All right. Keeping up with your chats here. Frankie, some reports say that Allegri used Cambiasso on the right after Contenassa during the break and Kostic on the left because he's back earlier. Yeah, that's the issue, right? Because of the delay. So Cambiasso can play as a right back or a right wing back. He's done it before. My only issue is Kostic, right? I don't know how he fits and how he helps the team. Vlad says, thoughts on Way and McKennie not playing against Lazio? I'm very pissed about that. We'll be very thin at the wingback positions. Also, Pogba, Chiesa, and Gatti are questionable for now. And so Tech's back. Tech played for Poland. So I would assume because Tech played both international games. If Tech played both international games, there's no way in hell he doesn't play against Lazio. Because he didn't get hurt against Albania. He got literally the game against Albania, like Tech didn't really have to make any saves. It's just like 2 wonder goals, in my opinion. Like one was in the roof of the net and the other one was top corner from outside the box. Like I don't think Tech really did much because Albania gave Poland the ball and they just didn't do anything. Dahl says tests ain't something in anabolic cream or nothing. It's literally just for muscles. Vlad says, David, that's our starting wing backs most likely. Jeff saying, thank you, Dash. Let's be honest. Greg Berhalter sucks. Yes, he does. We have a Moise Keane. We do. I think Moise Keane is going to shine this season. I strongly believe it. Give Keane the keys. Get him nice and big. Touche. No pause. Wow. Whoa. Dahl says Keenan Dusan could become monsters, but he's not on the sauce. He would be mental. I think Keane bulked up a lot when he went to PSG in the Prem. We send Keane on loan to Bayern just to get him shredded. Dahl says, I think Dusan has gotten better because he's bulked up a bit compared to... Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I still think there's still more. There's still more that he needs to do. Vlad says, I missed Tech playing for Poland. He did, yeah. He played both games. He played against the Faroe Islands and he played against Albania. Jeff says Tech emotionally got damaged for... Dude, Tech saw both of them. The shot from Asani and the shot from, I think it was Daku. He looked at... I wish I could show you. I'm going to see if I can pull up the image of Tech's face, man. That was hilarious. Frankie says, go Pack, go. I'm out of here. Got to have a good rest of the stream. Hey, Frankie, by the way, the Packers screwed me in fantasy football by limiting Justin Fields. I might lose this week because of that, Frankie. So, go screw your Packers, man. They should have let Fields get me 20 points. Pogba should go tainted supplement route because they're all pretty much. But if he says cream, he has flecked it. He has flecked it. See if I can find that. Tech's face. I love Tech's face with that one. That was hilarious. Dahl says 100% send him to Germany for a mental break. 3 months. Dusan and Keane, they'll come back yoked. Frankie says Justin Fields is ass-tastic. Well, no shit. Thanks. Nah, Frank is about the Tampa Bay Bucks. Shake and bake. I'm happy because, look, I'm a Lions fan, so I'm happy the Bucks beat the Vikings. So it just, solidifies the NFC North for us because I think the Lions are going to be really good this year, man. Like, really, really good. Frankie says, love Albania the way, baby. Love all the way. Oh, I thought he said love Albania the way, not AL. Why are people surprised about Pogba? Like, they do not remember his witch visits to deal with his injuries. I know! That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been trying to say, right? right? Again, I think it's one of those things where I hate making me sound like the victim, but it's almost like it's super sexy to dunk on Juve. And it kind of irritates me, right? Is there any I don't even think they've did they release highlights yet? Let's see if I can find the one goal. I know I can share the one on Instagram, right? Without any copyrights or anything like that. Yeah, it's just a Daku goal. Like Tech's face was hilarious because when Daku hit that top roof of the net, Tech's looking at the camera like this. He's like, I can't do anything about it. Watch the Lions stopping the Packers from playoff contention again. I would love to see it, but it's not Aaron Rodgers. So there's like not really, for me, there's not like I just love beating Aaron Rodgers. But I'm not gonna lie, man, beating Patrick Mahomes at home was fucking awesome. Like the fact that like our defense held them to 14 points. Like holy shit. Like I did not expect that at all. Well, I hoped. I just the thing is like I'm not gonna lie. Like you guys can make fun of me for this, but I was a huge Jared Goff fan. Like when we traded Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff, I was stoked. Because like for me, Jared Goff is like he's like one of those guys. Because like in my opinion, I think the Rams coach, I forgot his name. Oh, Sean McVay. So like I thought Sean McVay was like a giant d bag. So it's like I think him and Goff kind of had like a clash in personalities. But like because Dan Campbell, if you think about it, Dan Campbell is like the Antonio Conte of football, but like without a temper tantrum. So it's like Dan Campbell is almost like Carlo Ancelotti and Antonio Conte put together. Because like Dan Campbell's training regimen is ridiculous. Like if you look at some of these Lions players, it was just like holy smokes. And then like if you ever watch, like I encourage you guys watch, and some of you guys that don't watch football, like American football, watch a Dan Campbell video. Like you want to run through a brick wall for that guy. I've actually met the guy in person. The guy is super freaking awesome. Like he's super cool guy. It's like you kind of like the thing is like you want to hug him, and then at the same time after you hug him, you just turn around, look at the closest center block wall, and you just run straight through it. Like just no hesitation, just plow right through it. But look, I mean, being a Detroit sports fan, like all of our teams suck, and the Lions have been a laughing stock. Like, it's funny because I'm a Juve fan, like a team with dominant success, and then I'm also a Lions fan, a team with absolutely no success. But like, I've always been a big fan. I've always I've always said Jared Goff is the GOAT in my opinion. Like, is one of the most underappreciated GOAT QBs. Obviously, he's no Tom Brady or anything like that, but like, I always thought that Goff was really good, but just absolutely disrespected. So, and then it's like when I saw him go to the Lions, I'm like, guys, this guy is going to turn it around. He's going to be flipping good. And then it's like, it took until like the second half of last season, and everyone's like, no, no, no. And I said this when the game got announced. I said, watch Jared Goff go into Arrowhead and make Patrick Mahomes his baby. Because like if you go on Wikipedia, Jared Goff is Mahomes' daddy. I'm saying it now. Jeff saying, Chef Mayfield baking a W. Hell yeah. Baker's dozen. Honestly, I bet the Lions winning against the Chiefs. I told my buddy to bet the Lions going up by 7, and he won like $80. Uh, if Pogba should pick a Wadu tainted supplement at random, and I was talking about the boom, it's not his fault that all the athletes are doing it. David said the Browns want me some money. Yeah, they smoked the Bengals. Jeff saying, I also put the Lions making it to the divisional round in the playoffs. I did too until I saw Seattle not looking that good. The Ravens losing Dobbs, J.K. Dobbs, I think, their running back. And then also like the Broncos looking absolutely terrible. Like Russell Wilson can't make more than 17 points a game. To be honest with you, also I think it's going to be a foot race, right? It's going to be between the Eagles, the Lions, and the Niners for the top 3 spots in the NFC. Like that would be really interesting. Doll me typing shit all over the place. I'm in mid text on my ass. That's funny. He's probably the guy. Hey, Doll, you're probably the dude at the gym right now that's spending more time texting on his phone than actually working out. Vlad says, Donald Jones, some people use tainted red meat as an excuse. David said, Jared Goff got yeah, he got ridiculously disrespected. And, like, to be honest with you, if Stafford didn't get that hold call at the end, I don't think the Rams would have won it. In my opinion, I think the Rams cheesed their way to a Super Bowl with Stafford. They destroyed Goff mentally by openly talking. You want to know why? Because Jared Goff said Sean McVay's girlfriend's hot. His fiance is hot. Like, Goff probably said, like, legit, that's one of the things, because him and McVay did not like each other. Thoughts on Derek Carr on the Saints team? Better than Mr. Crab Legs, because that's what Jameson Winston's MO is. But I think Derek Carr to the Saints is not bad, because they needed a good quarterback. I think the Saints have a good defense. My only question is like, can they hold up without Alvin Kamara, right? Because they don't have Alvin Kamara until I believe a couple more weeks because he's suspended. David says Campbell got him motivated and on the road again. Yeah, he did, man. Got to give credits to it. Man, I can't believe I haven't tuned in before. This is some sweet Juve chat, even if it's 12 a.m. here. Hey, man, it's kind of what we do here. I know you're new, so yeah, welcome. Jeff says, don't forget about the cow. You got to give them, man, they absolutely demolished the Giants on Sunday Night Football. Absolutely demolished them. He says, setting that bell notification. Yeah, make sure you sub, like, set that bell notification. We talk Juve, but we also talk other stuff, because it would be boring if I just sat here and ranted for Juve the entire time and not talked about other stuff, because I'm not just a Juve guy. The only one here. Nobody's out here working, getting that midnight workout. I got you. I'm a 5 a.m. guy. Jameson Winston is the pick six goat. And then David says, I can't believe Russell Wilson did not complete a single play over 21 yards against Jimmy Pornstar G. Vlad says, don't get me started on the Rams. I still haven't recovered from that no penalty call in the NFC Championship game. Right. You know, I'm kind of like, as a Lions fan, I'm kind of actually ecstatic for the Seattle Seahawks game, because we need to give them some payback from last season. I want us to absolutely run them through, like, so bad. And then it's like, also, I think if the Lions actually made the playoffs last season, I think they would have actually had a pretty decent run. But the two teams again, I'm like really curious, or three teams, right? I'm curious to see how the Cowboys hold up, because I think Dak Prescott's terrible. And then also, I'm very curious to see how Brock Purdy handles that Niners offense. Is it going to be like dependent on Christian McCaffrey or Brock Purdy? He looked good, but I don't know. And then obviously the Eagles are the Eagles. I want to see if they have a little bit of a hangover from the Super Bowl last year. And then David says last year wasn't a fluke. It's not when not when the Lions have the GOAT and savior Jared Goff. Man, it's nice having football back. It's fun, right? Because you get Juve and then you get the NFL. Because like, the one thing that, like, the fantasy football system for the NFL is so damn good is that, like, it makes you watch football all day. Like, I actually have a reason to watch multiple games in a day, right? Where it's like, ironically, even though I'm a content creator for Juve, right? I don't have the motive. Like, I could care less about watching Lecce versus Salernitana, or like Udinese versus Empoli. Like, it makes no sense, right? Like, it's absolutely no sense for me to watch those games, whereas, like, I had Saquon Barkley on my fantasy team, so I needed to watch the Giants versus the Cowboys. I had trying to think who else I had. I had Bijan Robinson, so I had to watch the Falcons-Panthers game. So it's like, that's the one thing I love about the NFL, is like, especially if you're engaged in fantasy football, it gives you more stakes to watch every game, where it's like, yeah, I understand like football stuff and all that other stuff, but like, it's just like, holy smokes, man. I got to give credit. Like, that's the one thing the NFL does really, really well. And then Jeff says Big Cock Brock was his nickname. Well, then there's like Big Dick Nick. Why is it like the most weirdest like white guy quarterbacks that come and get like some of the like weirdest, corniest nicknames, right? It's like Big Dick Nick, Big Cock Brock. So stupid. Corny but stupid. We need 2 lives weekly. Should I do an NFL live? Like, where we just talk about the NFL? Like, that'd be fun. I mean, it'd be weird because, it'd be interesting because you get a bunch of like, what if we got like some hardcore NFL fans? He's like, what are them Foot Fairy shirts doing in them backgrounds? Like, is that what this is? Is this a Foot Fairy channel? Gosh darn, they're a bunch of sissies using them balls with their feet. At least my guys, we get that CTE by running into shit all the goddamn time. That'd be hilarious, right? Toxic Templar. How long in the new season before they lose 20 points of relegation in a lower league for fixing matches? That's a good question. Whenever they feel like it. And then David saying, I gave up on fantasy football. I took that shit way too seriously and I took the fun. You gotta have fun, man. You see, the thing is, David, this is where it kind of works for me, right? I have a group of people that I'm close with, and we're not putting high stakes, right? We're not betting money. We're just betting like food or snacks or some cheap shit. And we just play. It's for fun for us because we get to talk shit to each other and all that other jazz. But like, I could totally understand if you play like in a fantasy team for like $500. Like you do a $500 buy-in, which is like ridiculous, but I get that, but oh smokes, like yeah, you just get some people, get 8 to 10 good friends of yours, just play and have fun with it. Doll says the reason why I watch so much Premier League is because of the fantasy league, and it's so much better than Serie A. It is, but I'm a big tactical whiz, so for me, like the Premier League irritates me because it's very simple footy, in my opinion, because it's almost more so like, for example, it's like pickup. I always treat the Premier League like pickup because tactics aren't really intricate. Like they're not really intricate tactics. Well, man, I've been talking forever. Tactics. So I never really got into it. Like I could understand, like for example, for me, Serie A can be a little bit enticing, but like even now, it's really hard to watch Serie A. I mean, footy in general is really difficult to watch for me unless like I have a team that I have a dog in the fight for the team. It's just so difficult for me. And then David says, if you guys want to start a fantasy league from week 2, I'll be on in it. I don't think you can. I think all the fantasy leagues have started already. So, unfortunately, negative, good sir. Whoops. And then Vlad says, I would be into it too, but beware, I am a 2-time champion. He is the champion. Doll says, no, not the actual football, but the fantasy format. Robert Bertuzzo, I don't think Pogba's doping. Man has a good heart. Yeah, we kind of covered it earlier, Robert. We don't think so. I think there's more to it than it's actually been released right now. I think it's more so like, hey, he's taking something for muscle recovery, recovering from his injuries, or anything like that post-workout recovery. Unfortunately, just hit the thing. It's not like again, he's not on gear. Like, he's not trying to get yoked. Pogba's just trying to play. So I don't think there's any malintent. Jeff saying, I need to go do some homework. I'll be here on the next live. All righty, man. Have a good evening. I'm going to probably cut this off in a little bit, man. We've been going for an hour and 40, a lot longer than I expected. Oh, so you can start in week 2. Interesting. I didn't know that. Doss says, I hate Premier League football. It's kick it and forward and hope for the ball. It's kick it and inshallah, as Farad would say. David says, I am a 1-time champion. We're all champions. We're going to make it the new Fantasy Football Champions League here. Robert just got off work, thought about it all day. Pogba can't be fucking this team over this much. Got to see a retest. I hate how everyone jumps on the side of guilty. Robert, I kind of want to state this real quick. We've moved on to the society where it's now guilty till proven innocent instead of innocent until proven guilty. It's really become that, right? Because now it's like you can do something or be alleged of doing something, and now instead of being proved guilty of doing it, you have to prove yourself as innocent. And you ever think about that when you look at it from a psychological perspective? I'm going to use one of you guys in the chat as an example. So if I tell David, you stole my Pop-Tart. And everyone's like, oh my God, David's a Pop-Tart stealer. How could he? Ban him, dock him 15 points for stealing the Pop-Tart. And David's like, bro, what the hell? I didn't steal nothing. And because of that, like because of that article, because of the news articles, because of all that jazz of that whole like, oh my God, he's guilty. Dave's already been burned in the court of public opinion. He's already done. So like, for example, if I were to reframe that and change it from David stole my Pop-Tart is, hey, Dave is being alleged of stealing my Pop-Tart and we're working on getting evidence, then it's like, okay, Dave isn't really this Pop-Tart stealer, this thieving Pop-Tart, or if like a news article covers it and says, there's been reports that Dave potentially could have stolen Dash's Pop-Tart, but there's further investigation pending, or there's further information pending an investigation versus first front page headline, Paul Pogba, dope. versus Paul Pogba suspectedly accused of doping after a positive result on a test. But it's just big, bold headlines. And then the thing is like, and I hate it because I don't wish this on anybody because you can't, because it's only a matter of time before something like that happens to you where you get accused of something and then you've already been accused of something that you have to prove yourself innocent on, which I think is not fair, right? It's ridiculous. But again, it's I hate the media for that reason. Because again, they're looking at what gives you ad revenue versus what's actual substance. Because like for example, if ESPN published an article saying Pogba has been accused of potentially doping because of a positive test versus Pogba doping, what's going to get more clicks? Pogba doping. And the thing that pisses me off is they slapped it in the article. This is only the latest added to Juve's current issues of legal problems filing false accounting. Like, really? This is about a player, not the club. But it's just stuff like that, man. Like, it's just, I hate it. It's not me claiming victim or claiming, oh my God, everyone's dunking on us. Oh my God. Like, I don't give a shit about that. Like, it's outside noise. I only focus on what's on the pitch and how we win and what we do. But at this point, you're trying to sell something. And this is where I kind of like, and I wish content creators and other content creators would just kind of sit there and just be like, hold on, wait a minute. Let's figure this out first, and then we'll report on it. For example, this is my stance. If Pogba is actually doping the dope, he should have his contract terminated immediately, cut ties. But let due process do its thing, guys. There's a system. Let it run its thing. Let it run its course. I get irritated when we're jumping onto things and and I'm not saying you guys, not you guys in the chat, but like I look at the media and I look at stuff like that and it just irritates me, man. Because like I feel bad for him. Because at this point Pogba's already gone in the court of public opinion. He's already done. Especially with the extortion and all that stuff, his public image is tarnished. And now that he's going to be called a doper, whether or not he gets proved, whether it's innocent or not, because I guarantee you, ESPN or them are not going to say, "Oh yeah, by the way, my bad." They're not going to do that. The poor guy's done, unfortunately. Robert saying, "Yeah, dude, for F's sake, have you seen it, Anthony, this week, and even the Louis Rubali's things? I don't know what this world is going to. So much media is poison, and only the Turin Giants left." Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Vlad says, thoughts on Man United, on them signing players questionable. Apparently, Man United just buy, like, it's a joke, but, like, they get, like, those what is it? Those man influencers that are talking about, like, "Put your woman in line." It's like Man United's MO at this point. David saying, "It's easier to accuse than defend someone in the city. Everything goes around now. It's us again who gets stamped with being guilty and cheating the court of public opinion." Man, the court of public opinion has screwed Juve for the past year and a half. Dahl saying the thing, football testing is so bad, so if Pogba gets popped, it was definitely got popped, he was definitely on something. Please, I don't care that he got popped. It doesn't make him a bad person. All athletes do it. You have to remember this is their career. Why would they not try to get an edge? Yeah, if you get an edge, you get more money. And Bone says, this is why we come here. Vlad says, I feel bad about Paul because in today's football, there aren't players like this prime self. Yeah. David says, here in Germany, one of the biggest rappers got accused of raping a female. He lost his deal, sponsorships, and everything. He was proven not guilty, never got the image of stardom back. Yeah. Court of public opinion is the worst thing you can go up against, man. It honestly is. Once you lose the court of public opinion, you're done. Game over. Game over. And that's what's kind of happening to Juve, right? Because now we're struggling with adding more fans or getting new fans in the fan base because of Juve looking bad in the court of public opinion. More so now, and this thing is, and I'll say this, like, this is my little, like, doom and gloom. Juve's public image is worse now than it was in 2006. Like, if you think about it, right? Because of social media and how everything is blown out of proportion right now, people will look at it and say, oh, Juve were fixing the books. They were cooking the books. Not understanding the real thing behind Plus Valencia, right? So, because again, back then, like what, in 2006, only a select few people had internet. And even then, like, they were using dial-up to get on to Serie A stuff and whatnot, and you couldn't. It was the internet back then was different, right? It wasn't as profound, and like you can ask an American back then in 2006, what the hell is Cacciopoli? They won't know. But if you ask a random dude on the street and you can talk about Juve's accounting, oh yeah, I heard about that on ESPN. They did that, or I saw it on Twitter and blah 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 blah. So like even though the crime or the accusing of whatever of the crime per se, like for example, what we're being accused of last season is a lot less than what happened or what we were accused of in 2006. Court of public opinion's a bitch, man. And I think Juve's marketing department is learning that firsthand. So it's going to be tough, man, especially when you look at new fans, younger fans, and whatnot. If you're trying to, because everybody now follows two teams, right? Everyone has a primary team that they follow and a secondary team. I always laugh whenever it's a Juve person saying, "Yeah, I follow Liverpool as my second team." Like, bro, you weren't old enough, man. You don't know the backstory there. I'd recant that statement, but it's interesting, right? Because there's always like, for example, something where someone follows it as a secondary team just to kind of see what they do for entertainment purposes. But Juve right now with the court of public opinion, Juve's gonna have a very hard time. They're gonna lose money as far as new fans, new memberships, and whatnot. So, look, if this is what I'm gonna throw a Mr. Tate kind of joke here, but if this is the Matrix kind of going after Juve, I mean they've done a pretty damn good job, right? Juve do not have the best public image, and it's gonna be difficult for them to bring in new fans. Ironically, Andrew Tate's a United fan. That's funny. That's funny. Colin says lead singer of Rammstein. David says no, I don't mean the Rammstein dude, but because this process is ongoing, I don't judge before proven guilty as a law guy. Vlad says we've always looked bad in the court of public opinion. They hate us because they ain't us. Ain't us. Bleep them. Who isn't with us is against us. As Tall says, villain Juve energy. Colin says sorry, I misunderstood what you were saying, but he's being slandered. Kind of the moral of the story, guys. I think this is where I'm gonna end this stream on. You guys were awesome. A lot of interactions. Make sure again, like the video. We need those likes so we can get more people in here. I'm gonna awaken you guys from all the negative Juventus jazz that's going around. I mean, again, this kind of what this channel is about, right? We bring in a bunch of people, we talk about stuff, we have conversations. We might not agree with certain people's takes and ideas and whatnot, but at the end of the day, that's kind of what a community is for, right? Like if you think about it in the old days when you're a kid, you're growing up. I mean, some of you guys are youngsters, some of us are the old dogs here, but I think the most important thing about having a community is being able to question ideas, have some critical thinking, and determine whether or not something, makes sense or not, and being able to have that ability. And that's, the main goal of what we do here at the Turin Giants is we sit down, we have conversations, and we try to make light of things, and we try to understand things. And look, I can sit here and I can be this doom and gloom guy. I can tell you about how the end is nigh and all that other jazz and all that other crap and whatnot. But look, man, Deshaun Watson and massages. That's so funny. I'm trying to be sentimental here, and you guys are giving me funny stuff. Stop making me laugh. But look, dash to viewers. Dave will probably coin in on this, but Dave isn't here. Dave is here in spirit because he's in Italy. But hey, guys, look, the community that Dave and I want to build is a community where we can sit here, we can talk, we can laugh, we can look at the negatives, we can also then take the light out of the negative situations, and then at the end of the day, we grow. We grow better as a community. We grow essentially as a YouTube family in a sense. That's what the Discord's for. Again, the barcode's up there. You can hop in there. You can talk about stuff. We can talk about Juve. We can talk about WWE. We can talk about the NFL. Congratulations to Collins Commanders. They won their game against the Cardinals, so remember that. But we can talk about stuff. We can also play FIFA Pro Clubs together. I mean, that's the goal of the Turin Giants. It's for the fans, by the fans, and actually for you guys. Again, that's why we don't like, yes, we're working on getting remonetized. We're actually working on making Turin Giants an actual business. But again, we do call-in shows so you guys can come in and talk with us. We'll even do videos with you guys. Again, Pete Masak's video where Masak breaks down Allegri ball. I literally told Masak, hey, I'm taking you 15-minute, 20-minute video. We're going to sit here. I'm going to give you the board. You draw whatever you want, say whatever you want. We do things like that here because, again, it's like David says, we stay together. We're a group, even though everyone has their own thing. But again, guys, thanks for tuning in. I should play the music and sign off because this was a very long one. Did not, kudos to you guys, man. I did not expect to go this long, but thanks for tuning into this live stream over yonder. And again, new folks, remember, like, subscribe. Also join the Discord so you can have some fun shenanigans and some conversations with us. I know Colin just put me on Discord. But folks, thanks for tuning in. I will see you at some point this week. Dave does come back on Wednesday, so Dave and I will be back together on the weekend. Yeah, guys, thanks for this emergency live stream, this Monday night conversation, and we'll catch you in on the next one.